Okay, and let's see now again how this ties into the whole business process of making a decision, shipping something in front of the customers, and getting the feedback. Okay, we just went through this. So the big change here, we went from couple of days to couple of minutes. We have a good to go, we have thumbs up, and then we want to employ continuous deployment here. So continuous deployment is a process where you are shipping things in front of your features and changes in front of the customers, and as soon as they are performing, they're passing all the tests and criteria that are set here, and that process must be fully automated and must be a single click of a button. That deployment process being single click of a button eliminates a lot of unknowns through doing things manually, and through those manual steps, those are error prone and stressful in the end, which could reduce the speed of moving things forward. And ultimately, features land in front of our customers much faster, and then that feedback loop that goes all the way to the business, which might need to adjust the course based on the what has been shipped and how it's performing, that comes down from couple of weeks or months to couple of hours or couple of days. And you can imagine in a course of a year, if you can make 5 iterations, 10 iterations, or potentially you can make hundreds of iterations. And hundreds of iterations is what companies should be aiming for. And what we have by working in this way? Well, we have faster time to market. Faster time to market means essentially market share. And also, ultimately, it is a faster way to learn. And we said in the beginning, the faster you learn, the more successful you can become. Okay. In more details, how this looks in practice. Well, developer writes code. As code is written and committed into a repository, it's passed onto a CI tool. That CI tool builds that application from that code and runs those automated tests. If the problem is detected, that feedback loop is fed back to the developer. They can adjust their code, change the way the feature works. If everything is okay, there is usually someone who decides if this is going to be shipped or not. And if a developer that made that or a maintainer decides to do that, then that's merged into that main branch, which is what is being shipped in front of developers. That's a new version essentially once you merge that into that main branch, and application is ready for deployment. So all this flow from developer writing the code to having this green application in green state, to maintainer making a decision if that is going to be merged and ready for deployment, is called continuous integration. Okay, summing up. So CI, as we said, teams don't need to rely on QA teams to have a slow feedback loop. Software has to be automatically tested, otherwise you cannot achieve those couple of minutes of feedback loop for information, is the app working or not. And yeah, developers must write tests as they're implementing features. So that must go roughly at the same time or in parallel. That really cannot be after the fact. You cannot ship something or do anything like that before you also implement the tests. And yeah, lastly, fast, stable, and scalable CI tool is needed to support this process, because as this needs to be very fast, it also needs to be very robust and stable in delivering those results to developers many times on a daily basis. Okay, and now we are going to expand our CI flow. So this is the part that we were talking about in a previous diagram. when we complete our continuous integration cycle, ideally we would continue with our continuous deployment cycle. So in continuous deployment cycle, technologies are illustrated here. Can be, those can be anything, but essentially something is shipped into our production cluster or production service or environment is what is running our application, which is being used by our customers. And yeah, this continuous deployment part is being connected to this continuous integration part, and all that together is called continuous delivery. And continuous delivery is that practice of shipping things in front of users quickly. And yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's the end of CD part, continuous delivery part. So CI as a practice is required. Application must be deployable at any point. And deployment is done by a single click of a button or even automatically once the CI part is done. Okay, and now let's compare these two approaches. So this 20% here, those are those companies that we talked about in the beginning that are shipping frequently, multiple times per day. They're shipping their changes in front of their customers. They are using automated testing, continuous integration, and continuous deployment as practices. And over time, and this time, this x-axis is actually something which is usually, in years. So potentially this is a year number 2, and then this goes on and on. These kind of organization can maintain their development velocity. So as the software gets bigger, more complicated, and so on, they can still maintain that velocity and continue innovating and shipping new things. If, however, CI and CDS practices are not used in those teams and companies, this is where you end up. In the beginning, you can maintain the pace because things are not very complicated, and you can, get maybe as far away as people who are practicing automated testing. But over time, that velocity just keeps decreasing because you're testing manually. You have rare releases. That takes the velocity down for the development team, but that in the end ultimately results in business slowing down and losing traction compared to the competition. And yeah, it's not rare that someone comes into certain market practicing these great development practices and just outpaces competition or the people that were previously in the market. Okay, and here we are at the end. What do we have? We have these 80% of the companies. So what we can offer to them? We can offer a CI/CD acceleration program, which helps them implement those practices much faster. But it is still a relatively slow process, which should pull a lot of also social elements of how teams work and perform. And then if they decide to embark on that journey and ultimately start implementing those practices, then yes, SANFOR is here to support them by fastly, reliably running their pipelines and running their tests. What we have been so far aiming at are these 20% of the companies who already know all these benefits of working in this way. They also implementing. They also have that working in practice, maybe not at the highest level possible, Maybe those feedback loops are not a couple of minutes, maybe they're an hour or two, and here that's the place where Sanfor can help. So we can remove the need for their teams to think about a CI tool, and if that is going to be fast and reliable and is going to support them over time, but they can focus on delivering on implementing their software and delivering it to customers, and Sanfor is going to help them build that, and can significantly push that feedback loop from a couple of hours to a couple of minutes. And yeah, okay, that's it.